Do you remember your first crush or your first love or your first most intense love? Do you remember how you felt? Maybe you felt super nervous around them, but you want them to be close to you because the moment that they leave your space, you're like, oh my god, my space is so boring and empty without you. Do you know what I'm talking about? And also that feeling when the two of you are in close proximity for the very first time, you are like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what the hell to do. I don't want to look at you in the eyes because I'm nervous. So let's look at the wall. Did you know that walls look like that? I can see oxygen. But later, you might come to regret not looking at them in the eyes or just not fully utilizing the moment or the moment. The struggle is real, let me tell you that. It's universal, however. Somewhere down the line, if you are lucky enough, you'll get that moment. A moment, a conversation, with or without words. And man, let me tell you, let me remind you, in that very moment, nothing in the world exists but the two of you. Time slows, your cheeks burn, butterflies in your stomach. And that, my friend, is worth living for, isn't it? Maybe not. But now, I want you to really hone into that feeling. Intense love, intense crush feeling. Close your eyes and picture you alone. There's nothing below your feet. You are in the air. All around you is pitch black darkness. You know where you need to go. You know where your person is, where home is. But you are not in control because you are alone in space in a shuttle where it was just hit with debris. It's damaged and all your crew are unconscious. Some of them are already gone. They are and were your friends. You have never piloted a spaceship before, but today you have to. Because in the distance sits a glowy greenish blue globe, and inside that globe is your home, and someone is desperately waiting for you to come back. In fact, she's listening to your every word, every breath, and she's looking at every vitals of yours that is showing up on her screens. The entire country is watching and praying that you would be back safely. But because they are watching, you can't say what you want to say. So all you say to her is, I'm grateful that you are the one in that chair today, Goodwin. I'm glad it's you. This story absolutely destroyed me in a good way, maybe. We will see, okay? Let me tell you, one thing that I've learned from this book, do not date an astronaut, okay? But these two, Goodwin and the one stranded in space, I want them to be together. I want love to win. I want them to reunite and be together again. And this story got me ugly crying, okay? If you've been thinking about grabbing a copy, please go ahead because this book is so good. And Taylor Jenkins Reid is crazy. She knows how to write a freaking book, okay? She made me ugly cry with this, and also before this, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, one of my favorite books. Let me tell you, I'm not the type to love a sad story. I love a good story, and I avoid sad stories like the plague. I'm not really looking to purge because when I cry, I get pimple. I already have acne. I do not need more, but this is too good. I know that on the cover of this book, it says a love story, but really it's more than that because this is a story of life, family, society, and just being a woman who is passionate about what she does and who wants a career. And for our character today, in one of the hardest and most dangerous field in the world, especially in the 1980s. This story is also so relatable because our character today falls hopelessly in love for the very first time. But the world is just not ready for that. This is unfortunately not a fairy tale. Can love win? Is love really enough? We're gonna find out. But I can guarantee you this, that you would want love to win by the end of this story. Alright, so without further ado, let's get right into it. First thing first, let me introduce you to Goodwin. We just talked about her. Full name is Joan Goodwin. Picture Florence Pugh, shoulder-length hair, sweet smile, a little bookish, but super intelligent. Actually, everyone that we're talking about today are super brainy, but let's talk about Joan first. She's an astronomer, a teacher, and a NASA astronaut. Y'all, I don't want you to think differently of me, but I'm not gonna lie, I am too dumb to read Project Hail Mary. Okay, that book is about space. This book is about space. I don't really know space. I don't really know what an astronomer is or what they do, so I did a lot of Googling for this because for Joan, I will. Astronomers like Joan study everything outside of Earth. So the sun, the moon, the planets, the stars, the galaxy, their properties, their behaviors, their evolutions. They observe and gather data, okay, with telescope detectors and some really fancy physical models that I do not know how to name, okay? In my non-science brain, they're like historians of space. I mean, it's quite obvious why Joan is chosen to be an astronaut. She studied space all her life. She's good at math, she's smart, she's a team player, she's a leader. But how did she go from being a teacher to being a NASA astronaut, you might wonder? Keep that question in mind because it's a huge part in Joan's development as a character in both her career and personal life. This entire book follows her and her love interest. Now, let's talk about how hard it is to be an astronaut. I think it's given that it's very hard, but let me just tell you exactly how hard it is, okay? You know the saying, oh my god, she's not book smart, but she's street smart. That is not gonna survive in space. To be an astronaut, you have got to be book smart, street smart, and space. You have to have at least a master's degree in STEM to be a leader and a team player, and also have at least 1,000 hours in high performance jet aircrafts, okay? In NASA, it's not about whether if you are better than your peers. Everyone in NASA is better than everyone else outside of NASA. Hello, objectively smarter, fitter, more good looking, maybe. If Bella Hadid is secretly an astronaut, I'm gonna give her a call in my dream because I don't actually have her phone number. But even if okay, when you get into NASA, when you get that silver and gold pin to show that, yes, I have been to space and now I'm back on Earth, you are still not better than your peers because when you are outside of that ozone again, baby girl, and you don't know what to do, you are as good as a rock in space. You need your team and your team needs you. Joan Goodwin knows that very, very well, and that's what makes her so good at her job, okay? Let me take you through a day in the life of Joan Goodwin at NASA before the disaster, before the heartbreak. It's December 29, 1984. We're in the timeline of 1980. So think about this and think about Joan Goodwin, who is a woman who wants a career at that time, okay? We will talk more about it as we go. It's 9 in the morning. Joan Goodwin has a cup of black coffee in one hand. She's inside the Johnson Space Center in Houston, and she's heading towards the Mission Control building. You know how in movies we see a room with tons of people behind computers and they're just facing a huge screen with a lot of data? That is the Mission Control room, okay? These people behind the screens are not just anybody. They are scientists, engineers, astronauts, cosmonauts, and one flight director. Today, NASA is sending 5 people to space. To just send a handful of people to space, there are thousands and thousands of people working on the ground to support these 5 people. But inside this mission control room, these scientists, engineers, astronauts, cosmonauts, all the smart knots, they need to make sure that they have all the data that they need to send these people into space. Like for example, the crews, how are they doing? How are their vitals doing? Are they good to go to space? The oxygen, the cabin pressure, the shuttle. Can the crew be safely transported into space and back on Earth with the condition of the shuttle? The direction and the trajectory where they're headed to, and how would the orbit work? How would they come back? They can't just drive like us, let me go straight and then take a left. They can't do that. It's going way too fast. 17k kilometer per hour or something or more. It's really, really crazy fast. What I'm trying to say is because there's so much data, reports, and just so many people talking at the same time, there's just one person who gives the final command and another one person who communicates the final command to the crew inside the shuttle, the spaceship. The flight director gives the final command, and the Capcom communicates the final command. Capcom, just think of it as like capital communicator. So when they say like Linda is the Capcom of Apollo, that means that Linda is the only one talking to and communicating with everyone inside spaceship Apollo. Everyone inside Apollo will only hear one voice, Linda's voice. Today, NASA is sending 5 astronauts into space. The name of this spaceship is called Navigator. Joan Goodwin is the Capcom of Navigator. She's indeed, the perfect Capcom for a navigator because all 5 astronauts going into space today are her friends. So I want you to really imagine sending 5 of your closest friends into space. And to be an astronaut is a lot of work. It's not your usual 9 to 5 where we complain like, oh my God, I have to go to work tomorrow. I'm so tired. No. It's not like that. Like astronauts, they want to go to space. If there's one thing that they love about their job is going to space, right? So just imagine that, sending 5 of your friends to do something that they've always wanted to do. You have trained alongside them to do that very specific task. You have already carried out that task. You have been to space. They were there to welcome you home. They were there to celebrate with you. But all of you know that there's a chance that some of you might not make it back someday. In a world with so much scientific breakthroughs, predictions, calculations, contingency, and planning, that chance of not coming back is a certainty to some. And Joan today is going to lose 3 of her friends in space, and the remaining 2 might not even make it back home. 2 days ago, another team was sent into space to release a satellite for the US Navy, but it was not done because something went wrong with the latches. So today, Navigator is going up to manually unlock the latches and release the satellite into space. Vanessa Ford and John Griffin are prepared for a spacewalk. Now, let's put faces into them, okay? Vanessa Ford, picture Zendaya. Curly hair everywhere, a ton of aura oozing out of her when she enters the room. She looks intimidating at first, but really, she's such a charmer, okay? She's a good person. John Griffin, picture Henry Cavill. Need I say more? No, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. A super nice guy. He's caring. He's like boy next door, but he lives in a gym and he's not a boy anymore. We're gonna call him Griff most of the time. Actually, every single time. Here's what Vanessa and Griff are going to do. Again, I am not an astronaut. I'm the furthest thing from space. Actually, this is the first time I have Googled so much about space, okay? So everything I'm about to tell you is very dumbed down, but I am here to present you my findings, and please do not judge me. Picture a car. Vanessa and Griff are going to get out of the car, open the booth, and let the satellite out. In space words, it means they're gonna get off the shuttle, aka do the spacewalk, go to the payload, and manually unlock the latches to let the satellite out into space. And because they are human and that human cannot survive in space, they need to wear the spacesuits. Else, remember this, they will pass out within 15 seconds or die within 2 minutes. Everything that everyone inside NASA and inside Navigator are doing today is about preparedness over impulsivity, calmness over boldness. Everything involves a routine because all risks are carefully managed. There are no corners cut. There are no cowboys here. Jobs like this are best done by people like Joan. Nerds. Her words, not mine. Don't come for me, okay? Let's continue. Navigator, this is Houston, Joan says, and 3 people from Navigator responds. Houston, we read you. Good morning, Goodwin. Exciting day today. And Joan finally replies, indeed it is. We have got a lot on the agenda today, which is why I'm happy to tell you, Griff and Ford, that you are cleared for the spacewalk. Roger that, Vanessa says, and Griff tells Joan, yes, roger that, Goodwin. Nice to hear your voice. Both Vanessa and Griff were in love with Joan, but one of them still loves her now. Who is Joan gonna lose today? A friend or a lover? or both. There's no bad blood, between Vanessa and Griff. In fact, they enjoy each other's company, and Vanessa is glad that she's doing this with Griff. The first thing that Vanessa says when she's in space for the first time is, "Wow." She has always wanted this for as long as she can remember. Same for Griff. All Griff wants is to just stay in space for a few more seconds to enjoy the view, the atmosphere, and his dream. This is what they have been training for nonstop for 5 freaking years. Vanessa and Griff get off the shuttle in their spacesuit, they do the spacewalk, and they work towards the payload. They unlock the latches and they tell Joan that. And Joan tells them to go into the airlock, just in case they need to exit back into space again for whatever reason, okay? Now, the airlock is a sealed room. Okay, you know how like in those space movies, we see they go into this room and then there's like, and then they go out into space? That's the airlock, okay? It's the last room before the astronaut exit a pressurized environment. So they can survive here without the suits. Think of it as the lobby of their house. Anything outside your house, you cannot survive. The living room area behind you, that's the cabin where the rest are. You don't need to wear spacesuits when you're in the cabin, okay? You can survive here. It's engineered for human. Vanessa and Griff are at the lobby in their spacesuits because just in case they need to go back out into space again, they don't need to put everything back. This is where everything goes wrong because Griff doesn't want to close the airlock hatch. This is like not closing your main door when someone is playing firecracker outside of your house, like literally at your door. Vanessa doesn't say anything or do anything either. They both just want to have another greedy look of the glorious void that they only had a few moments with. "Houston, we are in the airlock," Griff says, and another crew member inside the shuttle prepares to release the satellite. Vanessa and Griff just stand there. They have gone through this a million times. They've done the simulation a million times. The cords holding the satellite will explode one after the other. They're like seatbelts for the satellite. They will hold it in place until it's time to release. Then the seatbelts will explode, releasing the satellite into space. The first one explodes. Everything is okay. But then the second one explodes. The second explosion breaks part of the satellite itself and debris goes flying everywhere. This is not how the simulation went. No damage from the explosion was supposed to happen to the satellite. There was supposed to be no debris flying everywhere. Then Vanessa hears a grunt. Griff is holding onto his waist. Okay. Then they hear the alarm starts to blare. Joan, back on Earth, along with thousands of people, hear the alarm ring. That is not good news. But Joan is trained to keep her composure. It's getting hard because someone in mission control tells the room that the cabin pressure is rapidly dropping inside Navigator. They are losing cabin pressure because the debris from the explosion punctured their spaceship, and that means everyone inside Navigator is exposed to space. The flight director tells Joan, "Tell them that they have a hole. Judging from the depression rate, it could be as big as half an inch. It punctured the skin somewhere on the wall. Tell them to pull everything off the walls, lockers, panel, anything they can get off to expose the skin. Pull it off. Keep Ford and Griff in the airlock, but start pressurizing as quickly as possible. Tell Navigator they need to flow in oxygen and open up nitrogen system 1 and 2 to the cabin to feed the leak until we find that hole." Joan tells her friends this. Calm, concise, and clear. There's only one or two ways that this will play out. Either her friends find the leak or everyone dies. But this is NASA. We have a plan for this. Vanessa and Griff are inside the sealed room, the airlock, but Griff is losing consciousness. Remember, humans, when exposed to space, will pass out within 15 seconds and die within 2 minutes. Griff's suit is damaged. Vanessa holds onto his waist, but luckily she sees no blood. Vanessa can hear her crewmates inside the cabin ripping things off wall, looking for that puncture. But in the cabin sits 3 astronauts, and she's only hearing 2 voices. Lydia Danes, picture Constance Wu, but remember her as a smartass. She's one of the 5 astronauts on Navigator today. She's a trauma surgeon before becoming an astronaut, okay? She's very smart, but she has a nickname. Ice Queen because she thinks that she's better than everyone else, and she probably is, but she's the type to let you know just how much she's better than you. At times, she may not even be a girl's girl. Remember, we are in 1980s, okay? Because her thinking is, if we side with men enough, if we laugh at their disgusting jokes about women, then maybe one day they will stop making those jokes. Then maybe one day we will be equal. She believes that women can be just as good as men in any line of work. Lydia tells Joan that two of their crewmates have already lost consciousness before she too goes silent, and Joan keeps calling for a navigator to respond, but nobody does. Then she sees her screen. The cabin pressure starts rising, and eventually it reaches to normal level. Because the last thing that the Ice Queen, Lydia, did was to patch that damn puncture. She wanted to tell Joan, but she never got to it. Navigator, this is Houston. Can you confirm that you have found the hole and patched it? Lydia, come in.
Houston, I think I am the only one left.
Vanessa says. So what is going to happen to Vanessa? Is she the one who Joan loves? Is Griff the one that Joan loves? Will Griff survive? Will Lydia? Will the rest of Joan's friends make it home? To really understand the magnitude of this heartbreak, we have to go back 7 years. 7 years before all of their lives collided, okay? 7 years ago. So let's go back right now. 1977. In 1977, Joan doesn't just have a master's degree in astronomy. She has a pretty huge D's in astronomy, PhD in analysis of magnetic structures in solar corona. I don't even know what I just said, but I know she be brainy, she be smart. Right now, Joan is getting ready to teach her first class in Rice University. She's not teaching a specialized course or a main course. The girl has a PhD, but she's going to teach a survey course on the cosmos offered to all freshmen of all majors. Her department chair told her, well, somebody had to do it. Joan is the only woman in that department, so it doesn't really matter that she's overqualified, and they could not care less how qualified she is for anything at all. Joan's sister calls her. It said, this is your NASA. What are you talking about? That is what she said. Hold on. I wrote it down somewhere. Let me look for it. Oh, here it is.
Hi, I'm Nichelle Nichols, but I still feel a little bit like Lieutenant Uhura on the Starship Enterprise. You know, now there's a 20th century Enterprise, an actual space vehicle built by NASA and designed to put us in the business of space, not merely space exploration. Now, NASA's Enterprise is a space shuttle built to make regularly scheduled runs into space and back, just like a commercial airline. Now, the shuttle will be taking scientists and engineers, men and women of all races, into space, just like the astronaut crew on the Starship Enterprise. So that is why I'm speaking to the whole family of humankind, minorities and women alike. If you qualify and would like to be an astronaut, now is the time. This is your NASA, a space agency embarked on a mission to improve the quality of life on planet Earth right now.
Let me tell you why this is so pivotal, okay? We are in 1977 right now, but just about 16 years before this, 13 women were trained to go up to space. They are called the First Lady Astronaut Trainees, aka FLATs. They are also known as Mercury 13. They went through vigorous tests, exams, physically, mentally, to make sure that they are more than capable of being astronauts. These 13 women were trained by Dr. Lovelace. He was NASA's head of life science and then director of space medicine. Although these 13 women was not officially trained by NASA, but Dr. Lovelace knew that they were more than capable of being up there in space as astronauts. But NASA just would not approve of the request. The third American astronaut, to make things worse, respond to this whole thing was, it's just a fact. The men go off, fight the wars, fly the airplanes. That women are just not in this field is just a fact of our social order. More or less a year after, so about 15 years before this, Valentina Tereshkova, a textile worker and an expert parachutist, went to space. She piloted the whole thing for almost 3 days alone. She orbited the Earth 48 times. She was only 26 years old. The date was June 16, 1963. She's still alive right now, okay? She is the first woman in space. Part of the reason why she became the first woman in space is also because when the Soviet Air Force general knew about Mercury 13, he was like, okay, hold on. The first woman in space cannot be American, which is why she went to space. But it's a little petty, but it proved a huge point that women are more than capable of also being astronauts. So the fact that NASA is actively looking to train women to go into space right now means that the first American woman astronaut is not too far into the future. Joan has spent a lifetime looking up at the stars, but she never imagined herself as an astronaut. You really think that I could be an astronaut? You study stars. Who else could they be possibly asking for, Joan? Joan is not sure, okay, what to do about this. She thinks about it for 2 weeks. Then she asks for an application. Even when she's like filling up the application, she still cannot believe, like, I'm trying to be an astronaut. But she gets it done. She sends it back. And about a year after, still in Rice University, teaching a laying course, she sees a newspaper with a headline: NASA chooses 35 new astronaut candidates, including 6 women. And she starts to cry. She really, really wants this more than anything in her life right now. So she applies again when NASA opened its application again. But this time around, they're not just looking for anybody, okay? Men or women, scientists or not, they are specifically looking for astronomers and astrophysicists. And this time, Joan gets into the program, okay? Out of thousands of applications, only 120 men and women are invited for the interviews at the Johnson Space Center, Joan included. I know, like, first time that I read this, I was like, damn. I knew from the beginning that she was going to be an astronaut, but it's just that knowing her journey, I'm like so happy for her. And it's a woman like her who paved the way for the rest of us. You know what I mean? And the way that Taylor Jenkins Reid writes is that she makes you curious about history, about what happened to the other woman, not the other woman, like the woman in our history. Okay, so get it, sis, Joan. Get a bread and butter in space. Now, let me ask you, how do you think the interview process is like? For us, usually, we get an email, maybe we study some materials, and then we go in for the interview, right? But not at NASA, okay? Once she was requested for the interview, she had to arrange to stay somewhere close to the Space Center because this interview consists of an orientation and a lot of tests. Joan is 10 minutes early for her orientation. She's the third person to take a seat. The 2 before her are both men. They look like military. And then another woman walks into the room. She's got brown curly hair, light brown eyes. She's wearing an olive green button-up shirt with a thin gold chain around her neck. Picture Zendaya. Okay, this woman, she takes a seat without saying hello or smiling. This woman's name is Vanessa Ford. Joan can't put a finger on where Vanessa stands. To be in this program, you are either a scientist or you're military, aka either you're a dork or a soldier. But Vanessa feels like neither. Joan, might I say, is a little bit intimidated by her right now. A few minutes later, they all hear a man clear his throat at the front, and he starts talking. Hi, I am Antonio Lima. I am the director of flight at the astronaut office. Welcome everyone. If you made it here today, you are one of the select few applicants who we believe may be an asset to NASA and to this nation. Over the course of the next week, you will be assessed in terms of your unique abilities and how they may be a benefit. Our astronaut candidates, those of you who are fortunate enough to be chosen to join the training here at NASA, must be physically fit and mentally sound. You are here because NASA is about to embark on its greatest, most groundbreaking enterprise yet, the Space Shuttle program. Until now, space exploration has been exceptional, it's been rare, but soon it will be routine. The shuttles are the first spacecraft in NASA history designed to be reusable. Okay, now, let me tell you Why this is so groundbreaking? Mr. Lima uses a lot of expensive, luxurious word, and I had to Google really hard. So I'm gonna present you my findings my way. You know how like most space shuttles we hear of or we see, they go up, right? As a rocket, like as a whole thing. But when they come down back on Earth, all we have is like our capsule and all 500 million is gone. I mean, at least that's what my non-science brain think of. And that is exactly what he's talking about, okay? He's saying that NASA shuttles are not going to land like that anymore. Imagine 2 rockets on each side of your car. Yes, your car is going into space. So on launch, those 2 rockets are going to propel you and all your friends inside your car up into space. And once you're up there, the 2 rockets will detach and fall off. And you're just gonna cruise around Earth in a circle at a certain speed because that is the orbit movement. It's a natural movement. And once you are done with your space business, you're ready to come home, you're gonna have to slow down your car while still driving in a circle and slowly inch towards the Earth's atmosphere. Once you are in the Earth's atmosphere, your car works like the damn airplane. And you are going to have to land it like a proper pilot on an airstrip and all that. You're not going to be swimming with no dolphins no more. This is truly groundbreaking because your car can be reused. And I just want to show you a quick picture of the interior of your car. This is Joan's dream and my worst nightmare. Mr. Lima continues, you are looking at a spacecraft unlike anything we've seen before. The shuttle is not one piece of machinery, it's 3. On launch, it's a rocket. In orbit, it's a spaceship. On landing, it's an airplane. This is what will allow us to usher into the future of space exploration. Our mission here at NASA are not without risk. You will put your life in the hands of your directors, your fellow astronauts, researchers, engineers who make space exploration possible. But if chosen, you may be one of a very small number of people who can say that they have left the Earth and who can report back to the rest of us on what our planet looks like from afar. You will usher us into the future. I can assure you that this will be the greatest technological achievement in the history of NASA. It may well be the greatest endeavor in the history of mankind. Joan feels butterflies in her stomach. Every word of his mouth is her dream come true. She's so close to the Milky Way, to space. She always has to pinch herself to make sure that this is not just a dream. Because it feels like just 5 minutes ago, women are not meant for this. Imagine witnessing the news of Mercury 13 as a kid and being told since young that women cannot go into space because they're just not born as men. But all that matters now is that Joan is here. And so Joan spends the following week on tests, one after the other. And then finally, this is what I find like scary and weird. She's being told with no agenda to climb into a 3-foot wide white fabric ball with an oxygen tank on her, okay? This is not a test to see how fit she is, how smart she is. This is a test to see if she's claustrophobic. Remember the interior of your car? In order for Joan to be an astronaut, this cannot be her worst nightmare. And so Joan climbs in and she tells herself, piece of cake. And she falls asleep inside that thing. Oh my God. That's so hot though. Falling asleep in a narrow space. What? 2 months after, Antonio calls her home and asks if she would like to be a proper astronaut at NASA. Okay, well, astronaut in training. She is so happy. She feels like space just proposed to her. She has to like steady herself, but she tells him yes. Absolutely yes. And he tells her that there are exactly 16 people in her team, 8 pilots and 8 mission specialists, so like scientists, okay? He tells her that only 2 women from the orientation that she was in made the cut. So it's Joan and Zendaya girl, Vanessa Ford, okay? She can't help herself but us. No man from our group, huh? There's a little laughter on the other side, but he says, no, I'm afraid that they were not up to snuff. So then Joan spends the coming months preparing for NASA. She quits her job at Rice University, and you know what? At first, it's kind of sweet because they throw her a going away party, but Joan leaves her own party early because the mayor The mayor in her department is quite shocked about the news, especially the head of her department. He's the only one who says it, but he tells her, like, he's so bamboozled. Like, how did she, Joan Goodwin, a woman, manage to get into NASA? Joan, a smart woman, tells him, luck, I guess. She regrets it after, but maybe she should have said more. Maybe he should. Don't know. But girls, I think we can all agree that some people are really not worth your breath or your vocal cord, okay? Joan knows that men like him never really pay attention to her. She doesn't command the attention of a room full of men with how great she looks in a dress or how she delivers a comeback. That is not Joan. That is Joan's sister, Barbara. Even their mother knew her daughters are different. When Joan was young, her mother told her, you and Barbara each had your own strengths. Barbara's loud and you are quiet, but you are both so powerful in your own ways. It's a little bit sad, but Joan understood what her mother meant and she hugged her. She needed to hear that from her mom. What do you think her mom meant? You let me know down in the comments below. We're gonna talk more about this. But even in Joan's adult years, she doesn't dress up or feather her hair. She dresses simply. She's average height. She's a little bit stocky. Sometimes she even forgets how she looks. Sometimes she forgets how beautiful her dimples are when she smiles until she sees a photo of herself. But people around her were never curious about her. Nobody asked her why there were so many sketches on her wall in the office. Joan is an artist, a classically trained pianist. She had run 2 marathons and she's an avid reader among many, many things. But the point is not, oh, why didn't you praise me? Look at all my achievements. The point is, nobody was curious about her life, what she likes, what she doesn't like. Nobody asked Joan about Joan. Joan may not have the curves of Kim Kardashian or Marilyn Monroe, but she is remarkable. Imagine Joan as the girl where once you become friends with her, you're like, what are you saying? Like, you're telling me that nobody in your life told you that you are amazing, like being able to draw, to play piano, to run so well, to be so smart, to want to be an astronaut, to be interested in space is so freaking amazing. Like, nobody told you that? Jailed immediately. Make me the president, and that's the first thing I'll do. I'll jail all your friends and acquaintances. When Joan's family found out about her joining NASA, they were actually very excited. The parents, okay? Her parents flew out to celebrate with her and Barbara. Barbara, Joan's sister, was the one who told her to apply, who told her what the commercial said. She called her, but Barbara forgot. Like, she's happy for Joan, yes, but in a way, she doesn't want Joan to not play the part that she's playing now in her life. I don't want to say it's because, like, she will not miss Joan, but for Barbara, it's more about her daughter, okay? Joan is 4 years older than Barbara. Let me tell you a little bit about the sister. When they were younger, the sisters would always play make-believe for hours, okay? Joan wanted to be a nurse, a doctor, or a teacher, probably not teaching a random course in a uni, but Barbara dreamt of different things. She wanted to be a singer, a ballet dancer, or a figure skater. The ugly truth is, when you are growing up with someone, a sibling, or just a friend, you might just sometimes compare yourself to the other and question whether you are worth or you are of value to your family or to this friend even. You know what I'm talking about? During the teenage years, Barbara had the teenage experience. She was going out to parties, kissing boys, drinking with friends, flirting with people, all of that. Joan never had any of that. And let me tell you, when you are a teenager, you can do all of that. You are very cool. At least, like, I thought that they were very cool. And Joan wondered, what could Joan offer someone so more worldly than her? How could Barbara look up to someone so far behind? While Joan pursued her PhD at Caltech, Barbara called her one evening and told her that she was pregnant. She didn't know who the father was and that she was unwilling to suffer the indignity of trying to figure out which it was. She wanted to keep it a secret from their parents. She already stopped going to school. Barbara was crying the entire time. And Joan just stayed on the phone and thought to herself, why did Barbara call her? Like, she was the uncool sister here. Why did the cool sister call her? 2 days after, Barbara called Joan again, but this time she was not crying. She told Joan, This is the answer to a question I've been asking myself for years. What am I meant to do with my life? I had no passion before this. This child is going to give my life a shape. Joan knew that Barbara did not fully understand the full weight of being a mother and caring for a child, but when Barbara asked her if Joan thinks that she'll be a good mother, Joan told her, "You have always been incredible at anything you put effort into, Barb." And from that phone call onwards, Barbara has, in a way, relied on Joan on everything, money-wise, time-wise, even emotionally. But Joan does not complain. Then 9 months later, Francis Emerson Goodwin was born. Joan held Francis first. Joan filled out Francis' birth certificate. After they were discharged, Joan slept on the sofa for months to take care of Francis in Barbara's one-bedroom apartment. Joan took Francis for checkup, rocked her to sleep, fed her when Barbara was too tired to wake up. I feel like drawing a boundary with family, especially like a very close sibling or a family member, is such a complicated thing, right? But Joan did wonder, how did she get here? Like, how was she the one taking care of Francis? And I'm gonna tell you right now, this is not a question about Francis. She's still very close to Francis. Joan treats her like her own daughter. But Joan was at Caltech studying to be an astronomer, and then suddenly she was taking care of Francis. Joan is a little bit of a pushover, but remember her asking herself, why did Barbara call her instead of calling their parents or her friends when she found out that she was pregnant? Because with Joan, Barbara always got what she wanted. Looking back at all of that right now, Joan is still not angry, okay? She is grateful even. She's grateful that the universe had unfolded her path like this, okay? She believes that the universe had given her something she had not even been smart enough to have wanted, which is a life with Francis, not in a weird way, okay? Remember, she treats Francis like her own. And watching this little Francis, go from this baby to this 6-year-old girl who looks up at her and smile, and she starts using words like horrid, pivotal, or that her day was not just good, it was splendid. To Joan, Francis will always just have been born yesterday. Joni? Yes, Franny? When you get a new place to live, can I come visit? Francis asks Joan, but Barbara answers, she's not getting a new place. Barbara is happy for Joan that she's training to be an astronaut, possibly the first few woman astronauts, but she still wants Joan to continue taking care of Francis on the weekend because she cannot afford a babysitter. When Joan and Barbara are alone, she tells Barbara that she will be moving away and she will still take care of Francis on the weekend. She's only moving about half an hour away. Barbara tells her, you know, Joan, you're really lucky. You are free to do something like this, going to space, be an astronaut, no kid or husband or anything holding you back. I always think about where I would go, if I could. And I think London or Paris, but you are going to the stars. You are thinking so much bigger. A few days after, Joan moves into her new apartment less than an hour away, walking distance from the Houston Space Center. Now, let's have a quick overview of our situation right now. Joan was overlooked by the world because she was not loud enough or pretty enough in other people's playbook, although she's smart. Interesting, nobody was curious about her. She's also a little bit of a pushover, not because she's stupid, she's not stupid, but because she cares for her family. But right now, Joan is finally at a stage in her life where she starts choosing herself. The world just showed that women can also go to space. Joan is training to be an astronaut. She will not only be the first few women to venture into space, but she's also training to work in one of the hardest and most dangerous fields on the planet and outside of this planet. That sounds so cool, right? So let's go back to our story, okay? The evening that Joan moves into her new apartment, she bumps into John Griffin, or Griff, and a girl, okay? Griff, oh my God, that guy has an easy smile, eyes that crinkle when he smiles. He also has one of the most soothing voice. Joan loves that voice. There's a girl next to him, her hair bouncy like she's in a permanent Pantene commercial. Picture Lily Collins. She approaches Joan. I guess we are all predictable, huh? Join the astronaut corps and get a 1-bedroom apartment by the campus the week before training starts. Her name is Donna. Donna, Griff, Joan, and the Ice Queen, Lydia, have just all moved into this campus. But Lydia, they don't like her, you know. She walks like she's a queen bee, like she's Beyonce. But nobody is better than the others here. There's always one, you know, in the group who thinks that their does not stink, I'm telling you. She's rude, Donna says. Griff tells Donna to not take it personally, but it's clearly personal because Lydia keeps going around telling people no. Donna is an ER doctor. I am a trauma surgeon. On the first day of class, the room is cramped with people. Only proper astronauts are seated. Those who are astronauts in training, they're standing. They're the newbies. Some of the astronauts, though, are even being butt faces about it, okay? They try to extend their legs long and wide, trying to take up as much space as possible, making it difficult for the newbies to even pass or to even just stand. Griff, Donna, and Joan, they find a spot and they stand in a line. Lydia stands alone, far away from them. Then just before the class starts, a tall, lean woman with her curly hair pulled back walks in. Her posture straight, shoulders broad is Vanessa. When Vanessa finds a spot, she slides off her sunglasses, tucks it into her shirt pocket, and she claps both her hands behind her back. Her eyes narrow, focused, jaw tight. Vanessa's got like big, deep energy, okay? Joan looks at her and she thinks to herself, now that is an astronaut. Later during dinner, Joan calls Frances, and by the time that they hang up, she looks at her dinner, her half-frozen dinner, and she's like, wow, this looks so sad. I just called my favorite person in the world and I'm about to eat this sad thing. Damn it. I'm in NASA. I'm not sad. So she heads out to a nearby restaurant for a Caesar salad and a chicken masala. At least there's chicken masala, right? And she bumps into Vanessa. Hi. Oh, hi. I'm Joan. I've seen you around, but I don't think we have officially met. Vanessa. Joan is trying so hard not to stare at Vanessa. Her eyes are like light golden brown, almost amber. Her curls and her stoic appearance. She's like proud, but she's not like Lydia proud. It's not like I'm better than you, you peasant. Vanessa is just giving, I'm on my lane, you're on your lane. But Joan wonders, what does Vanessa think of her though? Like, what is she giving? A nerd? It's nice to formally meet you. No one really introduced himself to me, but you all seem to know each other already. Oh, it's because we met last week. We all moved into the same complex in the campus. They did not catch Vanessa last week because she lives in her own home nearby, away from campus. But I'm really, really sorry. None of us have spoken to you. We didn't do it on purpose, but I do regret it. It's perfectly fine. I figured it was up to me to say hello, so hello. Joan cannot believe like someone like Vanessa would make friends with her. Like, wait, hold on. Didn't the world revolve somewhere around you? Like, did you look in the mirror? But also the way that Vanessa smiles, like she smiles like, oh, the corner of her mouth like this. It's like a smirk, I guess. I don't know. I look like I'm struggling. Joan is so drawn towards Vanessa. She's like so cool, so detached, so effortless, so aloof. How about you? How do you like it here, Miss Popular? Joan laughs so loud. It catches her off guard, but her laughter also scared a man a few seats away in the same restaurant. Joan quickly covers her mouth and Vanessa says, you did him a favor. He was falling asleep in his beer, while she gently pulls Joan's wrist away from her mouth. And Joan can't help but look at Vanessa's finger on her wrist. But really, how are you selling in? Well, first thing, I am not Miss Popular and I am selling in all right, I guess. But did you sense an undercurrent today? You mean the feeling that any one of them would slit your throat for $10? Yes, exactly. Am I supposed to compete with you or Donna or Griff? And Everyone else, it seems like a lot of work to do all of that and still put my time into training. Spoken like a true killer. For what it's worth, I don't think that you and I are going to have a problem. I don't think anyone's gonna put us up against each other like they would Donna and Lydia. They're both doctors. I mean, I'm an aeronautical engineer, but you are the astrophysicist, right? These nerds are hot as astronomer. What's the difference? There barely is one. But there's a difference, clearly. Well, an astrophysicist studies the physics of space, whereas my focus is on space itself. Then again, you can't really study space without studying the physics of space and time, or math, or anthropology and the history of humans' understanding of the stars, or methodology, theology. For all that matters, it's all connected. And that's why you like it? Huh? You're smiling as you're talking. I am? And Vanessa smiles with the corner of her mouth again, and she tells Joan, yes, you are. I love that. I love when people love what they do. She got raised! And they keep talking, only for Vanessa to find out that Joan is indifferent to the Beatles. Now, I was not alive when the Beatles was in full effect, okay? But from my simple Googling, it tells me that they were bigger than Taylor Swift, Rihanna, and Kendrick Lamar combined. John Lennon, one of the Beatles band member, even said that they were more popular than Jesus, which did not result in a good way, okay? People were burning their records, banning their music, and things like that. But just imagine how much of an influence they had and how shocking it would be to hear someone saying that they are not just not a fan, they are indifferent. Vanessa is shocked, but she's not like flipping tables or breaking dishes. Her eyes just go wide. Stoic, remember? Oh, it's not that big of a deal. The melodies are good, obviously. It's good music, but it's a little simplistic, don't you think? 'Cause I don't understand why it works so well. The pandering to what little girls think love is like, it was just a little bit much and a little bit cheesy. You know what, Joan? You are a curious one. It's all very interesting. I liked the Beatles when I was a young girl, hopelessly in love, and they could explain it, the feeling of being in love, better than I could. And Joan looks away. She's like, oh my God, stop. Like, why are you talking to me? Why are you asking me about me? Is it really that intoxicating being asked about myself for the first time? Did it kind of kill you today? To be so close to it all? It killed me. I wanted to go up there as much as I want to breathe. Vanessa tells Joan this, and Joan can relate because she wants this just as much as she needs oxygen. Vanessa continues, I want to fly. The thing, though God knows that since I've only flown privately and not as a military pilot, it's going to be an uphill battle. But I want to go somewhere so few people have ever gone that you could name them all. And when people do name them, I want them to name me. I understand that. I understand that completely. You do? Absolutely. To do something so few people have ever done, no one will ever be able to take that away from us. If we do it, if we leave this planet, we will carry that with us into every room we enter for the rest of our lives. Yes, that's exactly it. Every time someone talks about the program, I can feel this ache in my chest like I would die to get the chance, like nothing on earth will ever matter to me as much as getting up there. It's what I was born to do. I want you to remember this line from Vanessa because it will come in later during the end and it will answer our question. Is love enough? Can love really win? Joan tells Vanessa that she wants this badly, but not just for her, but to make her niece Frances proud. She wants Frances to know that she can do absolutely anything she wants. Vanessa laughs. See, even if I wanted to screw you over to get a sign before you, I certainly can't now. You are too noble. But yeah, joking aside, if it does come down to you versus me, I hope I don't do it with both elbows out, knocking everyone down. I hope I wait until I fully earn it instead of trying to steal the chance out from under someone. I want it bad, trust me, but still, I hope I do it right. And this reminds Joan of what her mother told her when she was younger. Joan had always been very good at school, okay? Joan has always been very good at math, number one in her class, until this new boy joined her class. He was good, okay? But one day he came and asked Joan for advice. Joan didn't want to help him, and she told her mom that. She tells Vanessa, I told my mom that I was not going to help him, and my mom said that if I was going to be proud of myself for being generous, that I had to do it, even if it meant I might lose something. She said, you have to have something on the line for it to be called character. So maybe that's you, Vanessa. Character when it counts. Me? That's a nice thought. Not sure I've been accused of that before. Well, we'll see how you do, just how honorable you are. But what did you do with the new boy? Oh, I helped him. And did he beat you? No, I am very, very good at math. Joan, ever since starting this program, is having a blast. Okay, a lot of firsts for her. I think this is like teenage year for Joan. First time on the campus, first night drinking with everyone at the Outpost Tavern. Guys, this is a real bar where a lot of astronauts used to visit before they closed down. First time seeing the rocket and the spacesuits used during the Apollo program. These are all so intoxicating until she reaches the mission control room. Because yes, she is in NASA. She's training to be the first few women astronauts, but she's doing more than that. She's dedicating her life to understand this Earth, the galaxy around it, for the betterment of all humanity. Her name and many others may not be next to Einstein after going to space, but she never wanted that. She never wanted her name to be there. To think that one person advanced the entire astronomy library of knowledge is too simplistic. This is a collective pursuit she and many after her will continue to build upon and understand from what came before. That is Joan's belief. But right now, with her feet firmly grounded on the floors of the freaking mission control room, she knows that now she is on the right path. Morning, Griff says, and he takes a seat next to Joan. Morning. I overslept. Can't you tell? Yes, his tie's not done, his belt is not looped, his hair is a little damp from sweat. He probably ran from his room to this room. Joan asks him, the truth? That bad, huh? You are handsome enough. They forgive handsome men of anything. Griff laughs, she laughs, and they see Donna enters the room. Donna beelines to one of the guys. She takes a seat next to him. They look at each other, they smile, and then Donna quickly looks around, and then she slides herself to a few seats away. She looks like she was caught dating illegally, okay? Joan has never been in love. She has never had a real boyfriend. She did, go on dates. She kissed the boy, but she never really cared for any of that. Like, she never felt what Vanessa said, hopelessly in love. It never happened to her. And when she tried to talk to people about it, they just told her like, yeah, you're just like a little too shy, or you're just a little too afraid to meet a boy and fall in love. But they told her that before she even got to her point. She may be shy or afraid, I'm not sure, but why couldn't they just understand that Joan was different? Joan may have never been in love before, but Joan knows a couple or a relationship when she sees one. Donna and that guy are sleeping together and maybe even falling for each other. Two astronauts in love. A success story or a disaster in waiting. Hey, did I miss anything? Lydia asks, and she takes a seat behind Joan. No, you're fine. I heard today they're gonna talk about Apollo 1. Joan and Griff both turns to Lydia. Oh my god, I'm not sure Joan tells nobody in particular, but Lydia immediately asks, you're not sure what? That you can handle it? Because if not, then you should leave right now. The Ice Queen does not give a fork. It's not personal. Because she's right. The Apollo program was the first US program led by NASA to land the first humans on the moon. Apollo 1 was the first crew mission of the Apollo program, but it never took flight. Because of a cabin fire during launch rehearsal, it killed all 3 astronauts inside Apollo 1. Back to Joan, she sees a man approaches the front of the room and he starts talking about Apollo 1. As you are all aware, Apollo 1 was supposed to be the first crew mission of the Apollo program, originally designated as AS-204, but in January 1967, a fire erupted in the cabin during a launch rehearsal. All 3 astronauts, Gus Grissom, Ed White, and Roger Chaffee, were locked inside. None of them survived. At NASA, we honor the people that we have lost by referring to them as being on an eternal mission. But please, do not let the euphemism soften what happened here and what you all risk by being a part of this program. Then he presses a button and they all hear men screaming as of the 3 men inside Apollo 1 letting mission control know that there is flame, there's fire in the cockpit. Then she hears movement. They are trying to get out of the shuttle and they couldn't. This is a risk. This could happen to Joan, and Joan just could not stop thinking about Frances. Like, how would Barbara explain it to Frances if something like that happened to Joan? How would Frances' life be forever changed by a tragedy like that? The recording played for 17 seconds, and Joan felt her body going heavy. Her head, she could not look at anyone. She could not lift her head. Most of our days here in NASA are good ones. We achieve things once believed to be impossible, but there have been some days that we never see coming. Days that stick with us forever, that may cost some of our lives. If you cannot accept that this risk lies ahead in all we do here, now is your chance to make a different choice, to choose a different life for yourself, a safer one. No one spoke, and in this silence, Joan wonders, should we have even gone to space at all? Like, we are not made for space. By the time that Joan manages to look up, she sees Griff. He's pinching his nose. Donna is breathing rapidly. Donna's boyfriend just stared forward. Vanessa, sitting next to him, just lost in thought. Lydia behind her is pale as a ghost. But still, nobody, not a single person left the room for a different life or a safer one. Days later, the entire crew find themselves in front of a fleet of this. Okay, when Rappa say like, girl, you are supersonic. This is supersonic. They can fly faster than the speed of sound. Only military pilots can fly this thing. And so the instructor tells everyone that if you are not a military pilot before this, you will be a backseater in NASA from here on out. Joan is like, oh my God, thank goodness I don't have to fly that thing. She's grateful. But when she turns to look at Vanessa, she does not look happy, okay? Vanessa's a pilot. She only flew private, so I'm guessing like commercial and non-commercial. So anything besides being a military pilot, that does not qualify her to fly one of this thing. If she cannot fly this, she cannot fly spaceships. The group divides into 2 teams, military pilots and non-military pilots. It's quite irritating, to be around these military pilots because they be making stupid comments. But you know what? They have been making a ton of stupid comments like, oh my God, I've never been so up close with so many women before. What? These creatures with skirts? What are they doing here? I am just joking. Wait, what? Y'all women want to be astronaut to prove something, right? Nothing more. Because what else could be going on in that little pretty brain of yours, sweetie? It's infuriating. But you know what is even more infuriating? Lydia. Lydia goes along with their jokes. Like, she laughs at their jokes when Lydia complains about how she wishes that they were not flying the thing first, but studied about the plane first because she thought that she had to fly the thing. Joan disagrees, and she tells her that she was glad to get the hard part done first. One of the pilots hears it, and he says, I've got a hard part that you can do first. Joan stared at him right there, but Lydia laughs. Joan wants to slap her. Like, didn't Lydia understand that if one of them made it seem like it was okay, the rest of them would be sidelined as humorous? Didn't Lydia get that this was how men kept them separate and underestimated with these small, disgusting jokes about women that made them look petty if they got upset? Couldn't Lydia, an accomplished trauma surgeon, a woman with a career in the 1980s, understand how it worked? Griff asks the stupid pilot to cut it off, and maybe it's because he's a man. Because he does. Shut up. Thank you. Don't thank me for doing the bare minimum. It does aid the service to us both. Now back to the supersonic jets, okay? The instructor tells Joan and the other mission specialists, aka non-military pilots, that they will not learn how to fly the thing, but they will learn how to navigate and sometimes how to handle the aircraft while in the air. But today, they're just gonna look at it. They're just gonna look at the planes because before they're even allowed inside the planes as a passenger, they will need to learn how to survive being thrown out of one. So, water survival training. What are we picturing? My brain? Nothing. I don't know what it is. So I Googled it and this is what I've got. But then I continue reading the book and I was like, hold on. This does not sound like this. It does not sound peaceful at all. So let me tell you about it, okay? It's a 3-day water survival training course. 3 days, 3 different techniques. Day number 1, I want you to picture you strapped with a parachute, a deployed but not fully open parachute. You know, it's not like this. It's like this, okay? That parachute is strapped to you and the speedboat in front of you. The speedboat in front of you is moving and it's dragging you and slamming your face into the ocean as it's moving. You need to keep your head above water while probably flipping around like a rag doll on the ocean. That is exercise number 1. Only Lydia and Vanessa did it perfectly. Joan, how's our girl Joan doing? You might be wondering. Joan swallowed and breathed in so much water that she burped for hours after, accompanied with a crazy raging headache. Day number 2, they had to swim beneath their parachute and come out the other side. Easy. Okay, I'm gonna tell you why they need to do this later. Lastly, water survival training course, day number 3, last exercise, the biggest test yet. Joan has to take off from the ocean with the parachute behind her while the speedboat is dragging her. Once she's in the air, she will have to disconnect her harness and she will have to land herself back into the ocean safely and be okay. Why? They're training to do all of this is because astronauts need to be able to handle being thrown out from the spaceship at a very high speed. Hence, the speedboat, crazy winds under tons of pressure. Why they are trained to swim under a parachute is because when astronauts land on water, sometimes they get covered by their own parachute. They get suffocated. So they need to be able to think clearly and navigate themselves out of the situation instead of staying there, okay? Throughout the entire training, Vanessa and Lydia are the only calm ones. But Lydia is currently in an argument with someone. It's day number 3 and she's in an argument. She did everything perfectly, but the one next to her keeps saying like, oh my God, I'm so scared. They are like sharks. And Lydia's like, shut up. Just do it. Vanessa though, she's just standing there, okay? With her rosy cheeks, smooth skin, no makeup on. She looks so good. You're not afraid. Joan tells Vanessa she meant it as a question, but it came out as a observation. I am. But you seem so calm. Yeah, I suppose I look calm. You're braver than me. No, I'm not braver than you. Do you know the difference between bravery and courage, Joan? I don't think so. My dad taught me when I was little, bravery is being unafraid of something other people are afraid of. Courage is being afraid but strong enough to do it anyway. Neither of us are brave right now, but both of us are going to be courageous. They watch as Griff floats up into the air with his parachute. He detaches himself from the speedboat and he lands himself into the ocean. And for a few seconds, they don't hear him. They don't see him. They don't know if he's okay. Then they see his fist in the air. And Vanessa tells Joan, if he can do it, you can do it. Don't think about it, just do it. And then you can tell your niece how courageous you are. Frances? Yeah, you can tell Frances. When Joan gets her turn, she does everything perfectly. And she thinks to herself, my God, what else can I do? And I love this for Joan. I love that through doing the hard part in what she loves, she learns that she's more capable than she thought. I mean, like, that feeling is amazing. Now, let's talk about Donna's little boyfriend, also a little boyfriend. Okay, his name is Hank, and he's one of Joan's closest friends. Hank is nice, he's tall, he's got broad shoulders, he's a pilot, he's a military pilot. Okay, he's from the real Top Gun, not the movie, but the freaking US Navy training program, Top Gun, that teaches air combat, maneuvering tactics, and techniques. Okay, picture Theo James. Need I say more? No. Usually he wears dark tinted aviators and he looks like a freaking movie star with his jackets and all that gear. Guys, why didn't anybody tell me to be a freaking pilot when I was younger? Like, why was that not on the plate? Like, they look so cool, but to be honest, my face doesn't look good with aviators, but I'm scared of heights. But then again, I can do anything I set my mind to. Clock it. Imagine this in a Texas accent. I know that Theo James is British, but you know what? Let's go with it. Hank tells Joan, come on, girl, let's go fly a plane. All right, boy, let's go. He laughs as the both of them get into the two-seater supersonic fighter jet. That's the thing, that she likes about Hank. Like, he laughs at women's jokes, and he's probably one of the only nice military pilots, and that is why Donna likes him. Almost as soon as they are seated, Hank drives them straight up into the sky, and Joan could swear that she's perpendicular to the earth. She feels sick in her stomach. A headache is nearing. Air is heavy, and they are forcing themselves into her ears. She's not sure if she could withstand this pressure, but the jet just keeps getting higher and higher, and then it all stops. And all she hears is a steady hum of the wind, and they're above a huge soft blanket of clouds, pale pink puffy clouds, and she hears nothing but the kindest version of herself. Look at the clouds, take a breath. Do you see how pale the blue of the sky can be? Then Hank's voice in her helmet tell me that that's not the heavens. Now that's the thing about pilots, right? They love the clouds. Hank loves it. Vanessa loves it. I wonder, like, if they sign up to be a pilot and then fall in love with the clouds, or do they love the clouds first? Later that weekend, Joan would recall the whole thing to Frances, telling her that I was 30,000 feet in the air. I was upside down. I almost puked. And then she pretends to puke above Frances' head and she bursts out laughing. They are very close, okay? They're very cute together. Frances and Barbara are visiting Joan in her new apartment. Frances is especially excited. She looks around and she sees a ton of sketches in Joan's room. Joan sketches when she cannot sleep, and she usually sketches Frances, Barbara, and their father, okay? Which is cute, but I don't know. I also think that is very sad because she's always thinking about her family while working one of the dangerous job in the world, and I don't think she even expresses to them how much she misses them, how much she loves them. She's more like an act of service kind of girl. You know what is that how it's called? But what I'm trying to say is that I just wish she would express herself more. You have to do grandma, Joni, Frances tells Joan. I know, I really do. For some reason, I find it hard to draw grandma. Barbara goes and she picks up a portrait of herself that Joan did, and Joan watches Barbara slowly draw a smile on her face, even though Barbara tries to hide it. Joan saw. And that is Joan's favorite part, to show someone what they should love about themselves. It's because you look like mom. You look like mom and I look like dad, and you can't draw mom because you don't like to draw yourself. Joan, I could draw myself, I just don't find myself all that interesting, I think. Joni, I think your face is very interesting. I like how you have tiny like freckles all over it. You have 3 gray hairs on the side of your head. Thank you, my love. I ordered pizza for dinner. Yes, pepperoni, Franny. I know how much you love them with extra anchovies because I know they're your favorite. Barbara just looks at Joan. Barbara never complained because Joan always paid. She always ordered too much and always sent Barbara home with the leftovers. When it's time for bed, they settle Francis in Joan's room because they are going to back to school shopping the next day, and Barbara tells Joan as she's getting ready to leave that you seem happier, lighter. I do? Yeah, it's nice. You have met someone. What? No. I thought for sure that's what this all was, that glee in your voice. Barbara, no. I swear, Joan, every time that I think I understand you, I am more wrong than the time before. I am not that hard to understand, Barb. I love my job. It's the coolest thing I've ever done. If only, Joan, if only I could find something that I love half as much as you love talking about stars. The condescending tone in Barbara's words is not lost on Joan, but she could not be angry because she does love the stars. She loves showing people the stars, spotting the Orion Nebula or the auroras, or trying to nail Rachmaninoff's prelude in C-sharp minor, or rereading The Awakening, or listening to Joni Mitchell and Kate Bush, or drawing for so long at night that her palms cramps up, or running so far that she forgets to even use her brain to think, or taking Frances out for ice cream and watching Franny pick which flavor that she would like that day, or smelling Franny's hair. These are the stuff that Joan is living for. She's not that hard to understand, but she worries that Barbara just could not understand her very own sister. Okay, so I wrote this part down and then I went to sleep and then I woke up and I was like, oh, hold on. A little bit of a slow thinker or overnight thinker, if you will. But this is more than Joan being shy or afraid in her parents' eyes, or just like people around her, okay? People around her can't understand her because keep in mind, women started going into the workforce around 1960s, I believe. And in 1980s, there are a lot of women working. And the notion of having it all is up and coming at this point. But you clearly still see the divide in workplace, the outdated thinking from others, and just women, for the longest time, didn't focus on having a career. I consider taking care of your family a full-time career. Not sure why people think that is such an easy thing to give birth and take care of your family. Crazy. But back to Joan. She has no desire to have a family on her own, not that I know of right now. If anything, she wants to focus on her career and marry space if she could. And it's because of this, I suspect, is what makes Joan so hard to understand, because they can't put her in any box. So like, she doesn't want to have it all. She's not trying to have a family. She doesn't have a boyfriend or anything. She just wants a career. So they just put her in the shy or afraid box. Either that, or people around her are just not interested in her enough to even bat an eye, which they might as well be blind. That evening, Joan spends a few hours before bed drawing her own face. Finally! Every day, once you become like an astronaut in training, every day at NASA is going to be packed. Joan is busy with engineering classes, oceanography, geography, anatomy. I don't even know what I wrote, but she's learning so much about so many things all at the same time that it makes sense for her to hang out with her friends, to study together after hours. She and Griff especially spent a lot of time in his apartment studying about country borders and emergency medical procedures. And they know each other's takeout orders so well that they don't have to ask. Other evenings, she would go out with the rest of the gang. Some of them she likes, like Donna's boyfriend Hank, Griff, Vanessa. The rest, she can do without. They make jokes about women. She didn't like that. She would rather be at home, she's telling Vanessa, reading a book. When she tells Vanessa this during one of their outings, Vanessa laughs and tells her, "You are being awfully grumpy today." Joan jumps to deny it, but Vanessa says, It's good. It's a good thing. It gives you a much needed dirt on your clothes. Otherwise, you're a little too perfect. Look at you. Smart, well rounded, always 5 minutes early, nice to everyone, a little edge to you. It's good. I have plenty of edge to me. I know. It's a compliment. You're like Marlon Brando, before Streetcar. Marlon Brando was gorgeous, almost too beautiful or boringly beautiful. But then during run of the play, he boxes some guy backstage and he gets it decked in the face right across the nose, like pow! Breaks his nose. He's rushed to the hospital and the doctor does a really, really bad job. His nose is totally crooked. And when the producer sees Marlon, she tells him, "Oh no, Marlon, they've ruined your face." But he didn't care. He never gets it fixed. And then he goes on to be a major star, bigger than anyone ever thought he would be. And years later, the producer takes it back because his crooked nose didn't ruin his face. It enhanced his face. Somehow he was more handsome because of it. He had been too perfect. Now he had a flaw. He was somebody you could touch. He looked like the most handsome real man that ever existed. Not a boring, beautiful doll. So you're saying that it made him look interesting. Yes, it made him interesting. When someone is too smooth, there's nothing to grab onto. Now that you have a little edge to you, I can hang on. You didn't like me before? I've always liked you, Joe. You know that. I just like you more now. Well, thank you for comparing me to Brando. I guess no one has ever done that before. Now that we are talking about it, I think you look a little bit like Ingrid Bergman. Not that you asked. Okay, so this is a photo of Ingrid Bergman. I didn't know about her, okay, but I Googled. Doesn't she look a little bit like Margot Robbie and Rebecca Ferguson? Joan does not see the similarity, but she thanks Vanessa. It's a compliment. And she tells Vanessa, the first time that I met you, I thought you seemed like Cool Hand Luke. Not that you're a man, just, the attitude maybe. Sorry, I think that this is coming out wrong. I'll tell you this much, okay? I almost low-key DNF this book because there's so many things that I didn't understand. I don't want you to leave right now because the story is so worth it. I would blame myself if I didn't finish this book. I would also blame myself if I didn't at least try to tell you why Vanessa reminds Joan of Cool Hand Luke. Cool Hand Luke is a movie about a prisoner who keeps escaping prison every time he gets caught, which sounds illegal, but the movie represents the spirit of rebellion, resiliency, that Luke is bold. You can't fit him in a box. He will play by his rules even if circumstances show otherwise. That is Cool Hand Luke, and that is also Vanessa to Joan, a beautiful, charming woman who is an aeronautical engineer, a pilot, and soon to be an astronaut. Even though NASA told everyone that if they were not a military pilot before this, they are not going to fly a spaceship, Vanessa still wants it. She wants it even more now. She had been above the clouds before, and now she wants to go even higher. And Joan just gave Vanessa the biggest compliment, telling her that she reminds her of Cool Hand Luke. Vanessa put her hand on Joan's arm. They look at each other and Vanessa says, "That is the nicest thing anyone has ever said to me." Then Vanessa is summoned by one of their other friends, Steve. Steve and Vanessa have a friendship of older brother and younger sister, okay? Picture Chris Evans as Steve. Unlike Joan and Vanessa, Steve has a family. He's 10 years older than them. He has a wife, Helena, and I believe 2 daughters and 1 huge dog called Apollo, okay? Vanessa adores his entire family, especially Apollo, okay? They have a whole thing going on. Steve is close to the group, but he's closest with Vanessa. They will look at cars together, fix it together, hang out together. They get along very well. Steve is the guy that Vanessa goes to for any advice. Like, just imagine Vanessa already has it so much together. Steve is like, wow. You know what I mean? Vanessa looks up to the guy. She knew that Steve is someone that she can rely on for anything. But he's also one of the 5 people that will be on Navigator. So in a way, Vanessa is going to space with her older brother, and something goes wrong. But we don't know what happens next. Does he live or not? Back to the party. Joan leaves the party with Griff, and as they're walking to his car, there's a hose on the ground. I don't know why there's a hose, but there's a hose. And because they have a little bit to drink, Griff wants to make sure that she's okay. So he puts his hand on the small part of Joan's back to guide her. It's not like demanding, like, I'm a man, I'm right here. Here's where you should go. No, it's like, I'm here just in case you need me. It's hot. But let's be honest, you are not going to put your hand on the small part of someone's back if you did not fancy them. Joan turns and he smiles sweetly at her. You know, she had been here before. She knows what this is. Do you know what this is? The glances that lasted just a bit too long, the softer tone of voice directed only to her. But Joan moves away from Griff's touch. Vanessa turns to see Joan with Griff as they're leaving. Off to read your book. Caught red-handed. Well, good night, Brando. Yeah. Good night, Newman. Paul Newman played Cool Hand Luke. Back to December 29, 1984. There are 5 people in Navigator. Hank, Lydia, Griff, Steve, and Vanessa. Everyone has stopped responding to Joan except for Vanessa. She's the only conscious crew on board. She screams at the top of her lungs, with one hand on Griff's broken suit, and she bangs on the airlock door with her other hand. And you know, the slowness, the absence of gravity and being in space, Vanessa never felt the full scope of terror of floating the way that she does in this very moment. Tethered to nothing, unable to move. When Joan tells Vanessa that she can stop holding onto Griff's suit, that they can take off their suit even, the airlock is fully pressurized. She unlocks the airlock and swims into the cabin with Griff. She takes off both their helmets and she tries to work her way off the pants of the spacesuits. They're designed for crews to assist each other, not to be done alone. And Vanessa starts to panic. Claustrophobia is setting in. She probably passed the test like every other candidate, but this is different. But she reminds herself, you cannot lose control right now. Not right now. And she starts counting her breath and moving her shoulder in an unnatural way, as if her collarbone might snap any second, just to try to remove her suit herself. But when she looks up, she stops. Hank. Nice guy Hank. Movie star Hank. The only nice military pilot they have. Hank. Donna's heart. Hank. Hank is floating towards her. His entire body is swollen, skin covered in rash, so severe that it looks like blood. Hank is dead. Vanessa has to close her eyes and reminds herself, do not think of Donna pregnant this summer. Do not think of the smile on Donna's face the night that they announced they were engaged. Vanessa screams. She has never heard her voice do this before. She takes a moment because panic right now is a luxury. Then she gets off her suit and gets Griff off his too, and she checks on Griff's body. There's no cuts on Griff's skin, but his lower stomach is already starting to bruise, and it's extending up into his chest. So that means he's bleeding internally now. Griff has hours to live, maybe even just an hour. She doesn't know, but she knows that she could have stopped this. Vanessa could have stopped this if she just told him to close the airlock hatch. She could have just shook her head and Griff would have done it. Vanessa turns and she sees a pair of feet. So she moves towards them, and what she sees drains the life out of her. The person that she looks up to, the one guy that she would trust her life with, Steve. Steve is lifeless. He's drifting. He's long gone. A small puncture in the shuttle caused all of this. When exposed to space without a spacesuit, You will be unconscious within 15 seconds and you will die within 2 minutes. Your blood vessels will burst and you will bruise and die from internal bleeding. And Vanessa asks herself, how can my heart sink in microgravity? But it does. Houston, this is Navigator. Astronauts Steve Hagen and Hank Redmond are dead. John Griffin has suffered potentially critical injuries, but he's still breathing. Do you read?
Roger that. We have vitals on Griff. We believe Lydia Danes is alive as well. Please confirm.
So she does that, and Lydia is alive. Joan thanks Vanessa. Lydia was the last person who went unconscious, and the Ice Queen was the one who found the leak and patched it. She patched it with a clipboard and a duct tape. If they did that just seconds ago, they would all still be alive. I'm not blaming Lydia or anything, but this just goes to show how unfit we are for space. To save Lydia and Griff right now, they need to go back to Earth as soon as possible. They need care as soon as possible. And again, remember, spaceships don't work in a straight line. They need to circle the Earth to deorbit, decrease the speed of the spaceship, and then land it like a plane on an airstrip. Steve was their commander and Hank their pilot, but they're both dead. Vanessa is the only person conscious and alive, so that means that she has to land Navigator today. She has to drive this thing for the first time in her life to save her friends. She has always wanted to pilot one, now she gets to. Now she gets what she's been begging for all these years under this condition. She has never landed a space shuttle in a simulation before, but Vanessa will do it today. And so Joan tells Vanessa to prepare the deorbit checklist. Roger that. Houston, we left the hatch open.
Copy that. We already suspected that was how Griff was hit. We are just glad that you were not. We need you up there, but back to you soon with our contingency deorbit plan.
Before deorbit, Vanessa has to stabilize everything in the cabin so nothing can free float. You are going from microgravity to gravity. Everything and everyone has to be strapped down. And this is the sad part because she needs full access to the flight deck. There's no co-pilot helping her. She needs the pilot area to be completely free. So that means she needs to move Steve and Hank into the airlock. She starts with Steve and she tells him, Steve, I have to put you in the airlock now, okay? You know that I don't talk about grief a lot on this channel because I think it's a very sensitive thing. I don't know how to handle it, but I think what makes this so sad is because you know that they have history, like they're like brother and sister, but also because I think when you look at someone in that condition, it's like you are expecting them to respond, but they don't. But anyway, okay. Her throat catches because Steve's face is expressionless. Steve was the person that she called when she was scared she might screw something up. He was always there for her, and she regrets not thanking him and not showing him or telling him how much his guidance meant to her. Then is Hank. Every time she looks at him, she thinks about Donna. Their little family, when they had their little baby girl, Hank showed her to everyone the entire night. Like, look at my baby. Like, this is my baby. But she drags Hank into the airlock and she straps Lydia into the chair behind hers. Vanessa never liked her. Never tried to see Lydia for who she really is. Only Joe made the effort in their group to really get to know the Ice Queen. Vanessa squeezes Lydia's hand. Without Lydia, she would be stranded here in space alone and die. Then she takes Griff and straps him next to Lydia. In that moment, she doesn't know why she did it, but she did it. She kisses him on the temple.
Navigator, this is Houston. Prepare for a contingency deorbit. We can land at Edwards in 3 revolutions. They have full trauma center's capabilities. Let's go to the deorbit checklist. You will be running a deorbit burn soon.
Copy that. Okay, I can do this.
Ford, everyone here believes that you have the ability to land Navigator safely today. On your own.
Nobody in the history of NASA has ever had to do this before. Vanessa takes a moment, then she says, "Thank you, Houston. After a certain point, the shuttle can land itself. We just need to get to that point as quickly as we can. I'm gonna get started." But right now, we don't know if Vanessa can even make it. What if Joan said more than that? More than everyone here believes that Vanessa can land the thing, save her friends, and be the first in the entire history of NASA to land a space shuttle without proper training as a NASA pilot or a military pilot? What if Joan said what she was really thinking? What if she told Vanessa everything that she needed to know? With so many people watching and listening to their every word, every move, would love still win here? And that is where I'll leave you for part 1. If you are loving the story so far, please, I'm gonna nudge you, push you to grab a copy of Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I really love this book. I wish I didn't let it sit in my shelf for so long. You know, it's a really, really good story. I'll be uploading part 2 next week. Hopefully, just part 2. There's no part 3. I'm not sure. We will see. I really want to get into it. I don't want to skip because the history part is so fun. I love that Taylor Jenkins Reid write in a way where she makes you want to know more about history, about what she's writing. I really, really love that. So if you like this, if you want more, make sure to subscribe, like, comment. Okay, my command. You better command by commenting. I know that this video is a little bit different from my other videos. I usually do a lot of thrillers, but if you enjoy this, you might also like God of the Woods. I think that story is also very well done. You probably have also seen that book around. It's a really good book. If you've been thinking about it, grab it. I've also talked about it. I'll link it right here. Other times, I do mostly thrillers. I feel like this is a little bit of a thriller. I'm thrilled. Are you thrilled? Just in case, you need a buffer, I've got a handful of thriller story time for you right here. Just in case you want to hang out with me. You like surprises?